Whoa, 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 Cilio. Fresh and buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. And today it is episode 244, and we're going to have a good time. I'm rocking solo. I'm traveling this week. Unfortunately, not back from Yokohama, but we're going to be talking about what happened at Yokohama. We're going to open some mail, and we're going to have a good time. And I think maybe I'll give my compendium of Wraith Fresh faves because I don't think I've given them. I've definitely mentioned cards I like, but we will see what that holds. I hope you're all doing well. All the mail from this episode comes from the Buds Discord, so please check that out. And, while I'm here solo, give us the old like, comment, and subscribe if you like this podcast, and we can keep making it, I guess, and we'll just keep rocking. Now, let's get into it. Pro Tour Yokohama, Cilio won. Evan Herndon won. Former U.S. national champ comes in, wins on Cilio, and in Silver Age was rocking Kano. So big Wizard vibes this weekend. Cilio is really fun to see kind of be played by the best players in the world. Notably, the finals was an Cilio mirror between Yuki Lee Bender, former guest of the show, and Evan. And Evan, pulled it out. Now, Yuki was on Briar for Silver Age. Now, the interesting thing, I'm going to talk about Silver Age for a hot second here, is that I think there were like 7 different heroes represented in the top 8 for Silver Age. Now, they weren't playing in top 8, but 7 different heroes made it to top 8, which was really interesting. You had Eugene C., who was on Dash. You had Bartosz Dabrowski, who was on Ira. And then we had Channon Pootree. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, on Icelander. Tommaso Vecito on Oldham. And then finally, we had Michael Hamilton on Florian and Nicholas Jamul on Florian as well. So there's 2 Florians. I don't know if this one... Oh, this was 11th. There was one that was in 11th. So those were all the Silver Age decks. And I thought, that's pretty good for Silver Age to see such a wide variety. I know it's not the most... or maybe it is a bit of a contentious format, especially at high levels, but there was a wide variety of heroes, and I think LSS probably really like to see that. Now, let's talk about the CC heroes. We mentioned 2 Cilios. Then we also had, I believe, there was 3 total Cilios, and there were 2 Arachnes. Yes. A Teklovasan, which is crazy, piloted by Channon, and Eugene C. on Rhinar, which was very exciting. And then, I believe that was it. So not as diverse, but it was kind of interesting. I think a Cilio and Arachne were the big ones to look out for, and they certainly made a splash there. And to see, am I missing one? 14th, 5th. Yeah, I think that's all of them. But anyway, doesn't matter. We are seeing a Cilio kind of go out with a bang, right? Volzar we know is going away. Channel Lightning Valley is going away. We're getting a new Cilio. But it's kind of cool to see Cilio kind of really perform at the end here. And comment below if I'm missing one. I can't really think right now. I just got back from traveling, but and I can't count, folks. And that's why maybe I'm not the best at this game, but that's all right. But yeah, it was Really cool to see Acilia do well. Really awesome to see Eugene have that run with Reinar. Clearly, it would have been pretty sick to see Reinar win, to be honest. But it was such a cool build. I mean, Ballbreaker and Savage Claw. I want to take a moment here, right? This is I've played against Eugene, and I've experienced what is very much like the most intense kind of Reinar game plan, right? It's very risky, right? Like we have to do all these huge things to maximize all this damage as often as possible, right? Or you got to take some turns off here and there, but like the amount of risky plays that I think to us, the common player, watch Eugene, you just know a lot of that is calculated, which is really neat. So really cool to see that. And the list was pretty interesting. I mean, this is something that Reinhar's not going anywhere, so this is definitely a playable deck, going forward. I wonder if this would be kind of a de facto kind of thing. I mean, with the Savage Claw and the Ballbreaker, yeah, like some turns, if you can roll well or get a certain amount of action points, all right, they're going to come in maybe 4 and 4. On a Blood Rush turn, you're coming in 6 and 6. I mean, pretty good overall. So very exciting to see that happen. All these deck lists are up on Flesh and Blood's website, by the way. And then to see Teklo in there as well, I don't want to take away from, the Arachnes and the Acilias here. Obviously, that's really cool to see. But Teklo being in there as well is very, very exciting. Because, right, it was they said we want Teklo to be a complete deck when Compendium of Wraith came out, and then it was is it really? And then we see this deck that's boosting and doing some fun stuff in the top 8 of the Pro Tour. I think it's really cool. So happy to see that. Cards I guess we had the Blast Rig, which is new, and then just the Ghost Protocol. Architect is really neat, as well as the Ghost Product. All the new cards really did what you wanted them to do in the deck, which was really neat. Obviously, fell flat in the top 8, but really cool to see otherwise. Now, let's move on to some fresh faves from me, and then we'll get to some mail, which there was a lot, so we'll see, how I'm feeling about some of these questions, because some of them seemed a little wild, but let's do Compendium of Wraith fresh faves first. Tommy Fresh, in your estimation, which hero got the coolest stuff from Compendium of Wraith? I think personally it has been Riptide. I think that's not very surprising. It just is, the blue non-attack action traps have just been so good, in my opinion, and has kind of opened up the resource base for the deck, and just being able to block and ping is really good. And then on top of that, you have cards that kind of the quickening trap, I think it's called, and the one that creates a courage, but when they block, they both can really slam dunk on a Gravy Bones, which is really good. And that's a difficult matchup sometimes, so just to kind of have that in your back pocket is nice. So got to give it to that. Now, weapon, I've been dunking on Savage Claw, and then you see Eugene C play, and you're like, oh, maybe it's actually kind of good, but I still think that the Shield Beater is probably the coolest. Just a one-handed hammer that swings for 5 it's just cool, right? To be able to, just in general in Flesh and Blood, I think it's awesome to be able to have your shield and have a weapon. So give a huge shout out to Shield Beater, because I don't know if I'll ever be saying a Guardian card again, but this one is good. Following that up by My favorite equipment from the set. This one is, I think, easily predatory plating. It just is so good in Silver Age, and also just like has like these unique kind of explosive like ways to use it in like decks that have like Hexagore, for example, right? Like you always control a card with 6 or more when you have Hexagore or Rock or something like that. So predatory plating is it's just good. Like, you know, it's not going to be better than like a Tunic in a lot of instances, and maybe not better than the Savage Sash, but you just I think there are some like reasons to play it. So predatory plating, really cool. Now, favorite class and or talent card from the set. I might go another brute card here. To be honest, rip off the top. I've been messing around a little bit of boosting Spendog's Tough Nut list. Rip off the top feels really good. This card is so cool in that deck, and I like the way that Brute's going in terms of design, and this is, I think, the perfect card that like we might look back and say, this is where it started the change, which is really neat. So, got to give it to Rip Off the Top. Sick card. Now, favorite generic card, bonus points if it blocks for 2. This one is tough. Because it's probably just Rockyard Rodeo, right? It's like a semi-brute card. But I'm not going to say that one for reasons that are only known to me. I think it might have to be the high current currency, because I like these seemingly like silver bullet cards. It's a blue, blocks 3. You're like, what? I'll throw it in. Like, you know, I like when a deck that has most of its powers in its reds and maybe yellows, and then like the blues are really just kind of utility cards. I like when you have options to have like sideboard cards as your blues, right? So like you build out your sideboard of blues that you can kind of bring in, and you're like, okay, I always want this resource base, and I'll bring in these specific blues for each matchup. And I think high current currency kind of fits into that. And it's a card that would be kind of neat, like to do a chain reaction trigger on. Just saying. I know it doesn't block for 2, but Rockyard Rodeo does, but you know, it is what it is. Now, my favorite token, I don't know if I've ever answered this, but my favorite token in the game, it's got to be Blood Rot, I think. It's just so good, right? Like, you can just win off of Blood Rot sometimes. And in Outsiders, it was purposely the hardest one to create, and this, that, and the other thing. And I think that it just nails it. Like, oh, what, you know, I'm gonna probably talk. I think there's another question that's probably going to inspire me to talk about the 3 tokens from Outsiders, but I think that they all kind of do exactly what you'd think they'd do, right? Just by their name. And Blood Rot Pox, I think, nails it the most. So, and finally, GOAT set. What's the greatest set of all time to me right now? I think it's Heavy Hitters. I just love that set so much. And I just felt like it gave us a lot of great stuff. And kind of, until Mistveil came out, it felt like, you know, this is peak Flesh and Blood. And to see that we're going to get like an Olympia Armory deck coming out, like it's very exciting. I'm excited to see, you know, how it goes. And just like Warriors, Brutes, and Guardians, like, yeah, they're the they're the numbers classes. Like they just want to have good numbers and do it on the axis that they prefer, right? You know, brutes trying to cheat some action points with big numbers, and you have, guardian just sending the big number, and then you have warrior that's like wants to operate in the attack reaction sphere to maybe make you block too much, which in a way is just a big number, right? That helps in your favor, or you block not enough and hey, boom, now you're dead. So heavy hitters, I think, is probably it. But I do love Rosetta Draft. So I'm hoping that Omens is going to have a great draft set, and I'm kind of thinking that it's going to be. Now, let's get into the mailbag. First one comes from Pepito. And Pepito asked this for last week's episode, but it came in a little late, so I just wanted to ask it and answer it. And Pepito asked, what would be a good weapon design for Tough Nut in Silver Age? This is an interesting question because I think you have your club, right? The club is probably just kind of the best number if you kind of want to do the thing that is the closest to the rock thing, right? And then also you could do claws, right? I think claws are legal in Silver Age. So you can, fill up your deck with a lot of sixes and go pulping into claw into something else, and then you can go, wild ride in the claw into something else. Or I think it probably would be claw ball breaker. But if we were to design a new Tough Nut weapon, I think you want to design another weapon that cares about you having no cards in hand, just like Rock does, but not make it so good that it would be better than Rock in Classic Constructed, right? I think that's the delicate balance you'd have to find. So, what would it be? I think you still probably got to make it cost 3, and you got to have no cards in hand to be able to attack with it, or it attacks for 2, and if you have no cards in hand, it would be 5. But then again, you can just pitch a blue from your hand. No, never mind. It can't be like that. So it might have to be just a 3 for 5 or maybe 6. And you can't have any. It's just a powered down rock. I mean, I think maybe even that's still very good because sending 6 every turn and being able to block with 3 cards is pretty neat, pretty gnarly. Perhaps you got to have some cheer stuff going on. Maybe it's a 2 for 4, and it gets plus for each toughness you control. That'd be kind of interesting. Or just a 2 for 4 that cheers, right? Then you could just load up on toughness, right? It will never ever get to the 2 for 5 that club can get to, but you can kind of say cheer, attack, activate Tough Nut, cheer, attack, and cheer again. So you have 2 toughness every turn. It'd be kind of interesting. It might be too good. That's a lot of toughness. Your first card that you block with every turn is going to block for 5, but against some decks, that's not that great, right? Against Ira, you're going to say, well, I'll take the 1 and then see what you do next. I hope it's a nice 5 that I can block. So something like that. It might not be too bad. So thanks for the question. Now let's get to some more. Wow, there was a lot here. Where is the questions? Here we go. If This one comes from Capolo, and Capolo, I think a lot of people submitted multiple questions, and I'll answer all of them. And I'm just going to read them in order that I got them. Capolo, if you have some dream requests for LSS, what should they be, or what would they be? Dream requests for LSS. Give me a job. I think that, I don't know. I think that they, despite some issues I have with what they do, I think they do a pretty good job at creating a game that is not tied to an IP, that is not Magic the Gathering, and surviving in this world, in this space. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. And it really speaks to how good the game is. I think some dream requests, and this is not even like, this is like dreaming so low. I think this is so attainable, right? I think marketing and dev and design or whatever, they need to be talking to each other more. I think that's pretty apparent based on some announcements and some dates that kind of like, when things come out, like, hey, let's put our brains together here and coordinate. I think that would be cool to see, and that's very attainable. I think a lot of companies do that. I think that their retail focus would be nice to see that expanded. I think they do a good job, I guess, but like, I hate going into a store and like, I see 10 different games that I've never even heard of, or I know for a fact nobody plays, like then they're on the shelves, but they don't have Flesh and Blood. Like, what's going on there? Why don't we have, boots on the ground, kind of like pitching Flesh and Blood to these stores? I think that, these stores are kind of missing out, but like, it has to be sold to them, right? You can't just go, like, us, the consumer, can't just go in like, can you carry this? And like, maybe they'll bring in some product, but like, I think there should be more boots on the ground out there, probably talking to these retailers and being like, hey, we noticed that you have X, Y, and Z product in this store. We have a great game. We have a player base. We think that potentially you could have a player base as well with this game. What's going on, and what would you like to see from us to like convince you to carry this game? So, and that's another thing I said product before, and I hate the word product, especially when you're talking about what you make as a company. This is my biggest pet peeve with LSS, and I guess specifically I just hear mostly, because this is the person who talks about it the most, but like, I hear mostly James White talk about it. I hate when he refers to things as products. Just call it the game, call it the set, call it like this booster set, like, call it what it is. It's product is so generic, and it feels so like corporate, and like takes away from what we're gonna be experiencing, because we all know it's great. But anyway, those are my dream requests. They're all very attainable. I don't think it's much of a dream. I just want to see some loose ends, and like, just tighten up a little bit. Next couple questions come from Darth Prentice, who of course people know as Greg, who asked, what's a day in the life of the Fresh Lord look like? Well, wake up, win a pro tour. No. Like a regular work day. So I'm a sales rep, and I'm out on the road. Most days I wake up. Usually if I wake up early enough, I'll go to the gym. I try to wake up early enough to go to the gym. If I don't, I always try to go to the gym, right? Whether it's the beginning of the day or the end of the day. I will load up my car with whatever I need. I'll go out and I'll drive around for 6 or 7 hours, and I'll hit accounts, try to sell beer, and yeah, that's like my day. And then I come home, and if I went to the gym, I get to come home. If I have time to cook, I like to cook. I love cooking. And then, if I have content to do, I'll do it. Editing, whatever, I'll do that. But generally, it's like I really love hanging out with Lady Fresh. So when I get time to do that, I try to do that. I do try to game a little bit as well, but it's tough to have time for everything. And also, on top of that, I have this house that has like a lot of projects. So those are all, it's like all like kind of like a wish list thing. Sometimes, you wish you could do everything, but you just can't. But that's a general kind of take on the day in the life of Tommy Fresh. Now, Greg also asked, who is my favorite Mario character? I usually pick Waluigi in like Mario Party. I just always have. And, if I'm like, if we expand it to like Smash, I am playing Villager from Animal Crossing, which I guess is a Nintendo character, not a Mario character. I play as Little Mac from Punch Out. Love that character. And I'll mess around with Luigi from time to time. And I will also, there was a moment there in Melee where I was playing some ice climbers, but yeah, I love Nintendo IPs. They're a lot of fun. So, but also I will say in Mario Kart, I usually race as Shy Guy. I'm a big Shy Guy fan. So that is also some Mario characters for you. Now, Greg also asked, any other collectible card games on my radar? Radar, I don't know. So I, by proxy, will pay attention to like what's happening, what's coming out, what people are talking about, which fandoms are mad about their specific card game. You just kind of naturally, being in the sphere of one card game, you're going to see some of the other stuff. But that being said, I don't keep it on my radar. I did do a Kickstarter for a game called Neuroscape, which is like kind of like a cyberpunky TCG. They're like indie, so I thought that was kind of cool. I like that. I like some of the design choices they decided to do, and I was excited to play it. So I did the Kickstarter. I got all the game. I almost said product. Oh man, I'm gonna get crucified. But I got the game. I got a box and a couple like starter decks, and I played around with it, and it is really cool. It is really cool. It does make you, when you play a different game that isn't Flesh and Blood, it makes you realize how great Flesh and Blood is, because you're like, wow, like some of this is just like, I could see it just like end up being a bit much or like not as fun. But I have enjoyed what I played of that game. Now, I think it is really, 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 really bad luck that Neuroscape came out. Like the Kickstarter like finished and started sending out the game, and the cyberpunk TCG like CD Projekt Red like became the biggest Kickstarter of all time, and it's a similar vibe. From what I've heard, Neuroscape's a much better game, but it doesn't really matter. People love that franchise, so a little bit of bad luck, I would say. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Now, Sigma comes in and of course asks a brute question: what are your deep thoughts on the latest high-achieving Reinhardt decks? Yes, the Calling also had a really well-performing Reinhardt deck, which I think it might have been Sigma's local, made the finals. And then Eugene obviously had a great run in the Pro Tour, making the semis of the top 8. What are my deep thoughts? I mean, Reiner's sick. Like Reiner keeps getting these great cards, and in the hands of a really good Reiner player, it's like if things go their way, it's hard to beat, right? Like, I feel like that deck is the deck that needs to go, like, have things go their way. Yeah, sure. You watch the top 8 and you watch Evan in the first game in the quarters just draw perfectly, right? To like get out of that situation. If you go back and watch the VOD. Yeah, things had to break Evan's way. But like also, like I think Acilio has ways to kind of like get to where Acilio needs to be, et cetera, et cetera. But Rhinar is like, yeah, you like when it's humming, that deck is scary. And I mean, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Sigma, but I think the one that did well in the calling was Medax. So you got 2 different kinds of decks that Rhinar could be right now, which is pretty neat. I don't know if a lot of people's sideboards change based on that. I haven't really looked into it because, like, as a Riptide player, I think I just play what I'm going to play into Rhinar no matter what. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I think Rhinar is kind of right there. Yes, the claws getting taken away is brutal, but like we saw, like Eugene was just like, well, maybe it's just like having 2 for 4s on 2 hands is just better. So I'm excited to see where that deck goes. I don't really know what the like what Omens really means for Rhinar. So that's a big question mark, but I'm happy for the Rhinar players. I love Rhinar. So let's keep it rocking. Capolo's back. Capolo just started writing questions like a madman here. Which character of Wraith that doesn't have a hero card would you like to see being made as a hero? This is easy. Any of the little guys, like the Minnowism guy, and then there was like we got like a glimpse of the Dwarf Kingdom from that Unmovable alt art. I want to see like whatever the Flesh and Blood equivalent of like Lord of the Rings dwarfs is, and let's see it happen. That's what I want. When are we getting it? I'm excited. And Capolo asked, how much Silver Age have I actually played? What do I think of the format? I played actually a decent amount of Silver Age. I played a couple Pro Quests, and then I was testing it. And I always, when I see a cool Silver Age deck, I end up jamming it on Talshar a little bit. So I would say I'm still like a 80% CC player, but probably 20% of my playing has, like, since Silver Age became since Compendium of Wraith, like, I think 20% has been, how much I've played. So I like the format. And all of this related to a similar subject. Capolo says, how do you handle knowing all of the available heroes and cards they play? I feel like I'm lost for any card or hero released after Bright Lights. Well, it's just a matter of how much you're paying attention to the game, and how much you're interacting with it. Like Capolo, I know for a fact that you had a baby recently. If I had a baby recently, I don't know if I would know any cards that happened or that came out in the past year or so. So I get that it might be tough to memorize, but like even like for people who listen to the podcast, I forget the names of cards all the time. It's I've gotten to the critical mass of information, in my brain of these cards. And I know what they do, right? I think that's just like the big thing. I think if somebody said the name, I'm like, oh, that is, an instant. That is elemental, and you can, or it's lightning, and you can play it, and it gives +3, and it's lightning press, and it's killed me 1,000,000 times, So, yeah. How do I handle all of it? I don't know. I just pay attention. I mean, like, I'm creating content for this game every week, and I'm playing the game at least once a day, usually. So that's just how you do it. I don't know. Like, there was a point in other games I've known like every card, and then when I stopped, I don't really remember. I do remember some, like from like the critical years of me playing those games, but that's just how it goes. Now, how do I personally prepare for a tournament with all this information? Well, I think people know I like to pigeonhole myself. Like, I think also I play Riptide, right? I've been playing Riptide a lot, and then I played like RKO, but like I like playing Riptide specifically because it's such a reactive hero, right? You have to know, like, when you're on the defensive, you have to know what the other heroes want to do, right? That's just how it is. Like when you're playing like Syndra or something, like you have this game plan that you want to execute, right? Sure, there's like sometimes you have to make well-timed decisions on blocks and stuff like that, but like in general, you're just like, I need to do this every turn or else I don't have enough gas to win, right? With a deck like Riptide or like more defensive like Guardian, you got to know what's important to the other hero, what cards are important, what cards they could possibly have, and what card could be coming next, what card could they draw, this, that, and the other thing. So when you play a deck like that, and I urge people to just play a deck like that just a little bit to like get a feel for other heroes. It's like, or you either do that or you play every hero, right? And, you know, I know like Scouting Fleshbag kind of approach the game like play every hero, which I think is a great way to do it, and you just kind of get a feel for what these heroes do. Or I think like what I do is just like I play this hero that like you kind of learn what the other heroes are doing and what they're playing because you're trying to see every card they play, right? Like you're kind of fatigued them, but like you want them to play them or block with them, and you can kind of read these cards and do this, that, and the other thing. But good question though. And do I personally think LL retirement speed is on a good track? I think so. I think it's fine. I don't have any issues. I mean, the Aurora thing was crazy, but we kind of adjusted, right, accordingly. And I kind of think it's fun when, like, all of a sudden a bunch of heroes LL at the same time. It's kind of cool. There's some heroes we're just going to have for a very, very, very long time. And that's okay. But, you know, we see LSS give the heroes tools. And, like, listen, the 1.5 thing, I know some people get like, well, it's like, it's finally good and we don't have much time with it. But, like, you know, at least it was good at one point, and it just didn't like eke across the finish line for like 10 years. So that's where I'm at. And then cast some Flesh and Blood characters to play a video game character. I don't know how I would. I don't know. How about we just get like a fighting game, like a Soul Calibur with like Flesh and Blood heroes? That would be kind of cool to see what we're actually doing happen on a video game, right? Like I think that would be really neat. That's how I'm choosing to answer that question. Sigma asked, what do you think about the keynote speech being recorded instead of live? Big fan. I didn't watch it, to be honest. I just caught all the updates, but like there's just so much that can go wrong with a live speech, and you know what the actual like broadcast of it to everything else. There's just issues, and like, you know, that's tough. It's a tough call to make. Like, obviously, be really sick for James White to come out and just like do the speech, and it's all great and everything works out perfectly. People are hyped, but I don't know. I think it just kind of, we're just not at that point with Flesh and Blood. I think we tried it, and sometimes it's been popular or it's gone off without a hitch. But I also think that we should, I think, be understanding of it. Cap asks, oh, these are food questions. I'll come back for those for the... Oh, no, I got a bunch of food questions. I'm just going to read all of them, and maybe I'll just talk about some food at the end of the show. Food questions from Capolo. Top 3 underrated food. Ooh, let's see. Underrated. Okay. Okay. The first one's gonna be a little crazy. And this is like me kind of like coming like of age and like my palate coming of age, I think first, black peppercorns, I think are underrated. I think we take them for granted. I think that when used in certain dishes, it is banging. And like we don't realize how much black peppercorn and cracked black pepper adds to dishes every day, right? We all know salt is carrying some serious weight, but I think black pepper is actually doing some stuff. Okay, black peppercorns, boom, boom, boom. I think, I don't know. Oh man, some other underrated foods. This is actually a really hard question because like what is truly underrated is kind of where I keep coming back to. I think in the United States, not globally, but in the United States, I think lamb is an underrated meat. Globally, it's very popular, but we're so beef pilled in the United States that I think that lamb doesn't get its due, and I think also in the States, curry is underrated. I don't think globally it is. I think it's properly rated most places, but like, curry's having like a little bit of a renaissance in the United States, but I'm just gonna say it. It's a little underrated right now, and like maybe it is underrated globally because that's how good it is, folks. Capolo also asked, best food for I don't feel like cooking tonight. It's pizza, usually, because it usually comes in a timely manner, or it's just Chinese food for us. I like a good Chinese takeaway. So I think either of those. It's actually usually, because like Lady Fresh really loves Chinese food, it's usually Chinese food, which I'm not complaining. My best cooked dish, the one that I cook, I'm assuming, is I do this dirty rice with like chicken thighs. I think is so good. I think I really nailed it down. Like, you get this like really chicken brothy rice with the crispy chicken thigh on top. Ooh, it's easy to make. It's like one pot. Yeah, that's like if the last one was best food for I don't feel like cooking tonight, this one is like best food for like I want to cook, but I don't want to do something crazy, but I want it to be really good. That's what I'm doing. Like a dirty rice with chicken thighs. A food that I've tried to cook but can't succeed at making properly. Ooh. This is going to sound cocky, but it might not sound cocky. I have failed at making a lot of dishes, but the way I approach cooking is I need to perfect it. So I'll try making it like multiple nights in a row until I'm like, because even when I think did a decent job of cooking something, I am sitting there eating the food just thinking about what I could have done differently. And honestly, I should have that approach about much more things than just cooking, but it's where the obsessiveness comes out. So, Darth Prentice also asks, what's the freshest smell and what's the least fresh smell? The freshest smell I would say is fresh bed sheets. When you get into fresh bed sheets, not only do they feel great, but they smell good too. We're going to say that. And then the least fresh smell is yogurt to me. I don't like the smell of yogurt. I could eat some yogurt, but like the smell just gets me bad. I don't like it at all. I have a sensitive nose. Junior asks, using military time, what time of day would you say you're the freshest and least fresh? Using military time. Okay, at At 1100 hours, I am my least fresh because I can get a little peppy. I can get a little peppy in the morning after I wake up, but around 1100 hours before lunch, Tommy's dragging. He's dragging big time. So, when am I the most fresh? That would be once the sun comes down. So what's that, like 2000 hours or whatever in military time? So like, yeah. It's like on average like 2000. Is that 2000? I don't know. 2000. But thanks for the question. Capolo asks, why do I hate Vegas and why do I hate the West Coast? Ooh. Vegas. Okay. This one's pretty easy. The Vegas one is pretty easy. So Vegas has everything that I can get in the tri-state area, except it's 110 degrees in the desert. And it's all there is like debauchery. Which, listen, I like some debauchery, but I can do that whenever I want and then come home to like outside the debauchery. So yeah, that's it. And it's like, what do I like? I don't know. I did like, was the gambling there better than the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut? Like, I don't know. Like, it's not. Like, I just and I get that it's like a central area for like card tournaments and stuff like that, but why? Who wants to be in that heat? It's so bad. It really is. And like, I don't know. And it's also like a city of a bygone era. So like, it's almost like a little sad to be there and to look at it. And that's just my opinion. And why do I hate the West Coast? I don't hate the West Coast, just the people. No, I like a lot of the people on the West Coast, but like in my experience when I've been there, it has been very fake and kind of superficial, I would say, which is just not my thing. Yes, am I talking about mostly just LA? Of course I am. But it's the biggest thing, and that is what it is. That being said, today I was talking to a coworker about how bad I want to go to wine country, right? And hang out there, and how bad I want to go to the Pacific Northwest. So I don't really hate the West Coast. I hate LA, which is the opposite of that Randy Newman song. I love LA. Imagine that. William Table and Legs Knuckles, former guest of the show. Are you going to nationals? Can we play more cube? Can I open a piece of mail? I don't think you can open. Oh, I guess you could open a piece of mail. Not for this show. I will be in Minneapolis because, well, it's not Vegas. I'm not playing in nationals, but I'm playing in the calling. But that Friday it sounds like a cube day to me, and probably, around 1 p.m. on the Saturday after we all scrub out. It sounds like a good cube time as well. So, yeah. Darth Prentice asks, is a hot dog a sandwich, and what is the best sandwich? Is a hot dog a sandwich? So somebody made this point to me. I forget who it was. If it was somebody in this community, bravo. If it was somebody outside this community, bravo to them. But they said, think about it. You take the hot dog out of the bun. What is it? It's a hot dog, right? So it's not a sandwich. The hot dog is a hot dog no matter where you place it, right? Like where ham is ham, but like you're not calling a ham sandwich just a ham. You're calling it a ham sandwich. So hot dog is not a sandwich. I've been convinced. Whoever brought that up to me, I was like, you know what? You're right. Do I love hot dogs? Yes, I do. Now, what is the best sandwich? I think it's a pork roll, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup on maybe an everything bagel. But if you're not trying to go bagel route, like a Kaiser roll, which is pretty nice. So, yeah, pretty easy. And is Altoona style pizza trash or based? It is an abomination. It's neither. If anybody's ever, just look up Altoona style pizza, Altoona style pizza. And this is, Western Pennsylvania at its finest. Just like making up stuff and saying, this is pizza. Well, no, it's not. It's scary. So check it out, folks. Capolo asks also, what are your most prized possessions? I don't know if I have like prized possessions. There's stuff like there's some, card stuff that I really like. Like I have my cold foil heart and cross strap from the alpha draft I did. I have, all the spoilers that I've gotten and like the gifts from LSS. That's all really cool. I don't know. I have some like stuff from my grandparents that I always thought was like really cool, right? Like, when they passed away and I would help like clean up the house and be like, oh, can I have this? And they're like, yes. So, those things are always kind of neat, although they're all packed away these days. So like, are they really prized if they're all packed away? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Like, I like things, but like, I don't know if I like things like that, if that makes sense. But thanks for the question. Junior asks, what are some flesh and blood drugs and what do they do? Now, I hinted at this before. So the drugs are definitely blood rot pox. Yeah, they're like afflictions, but like you can get a blood rot like drug and it's going to give you the pox, right? The frailty, like there's the green stuff is giving you that frailty, and then the inertia, whatever's giving you inertia. Inertia is like like Kensington, Philadelphia. Like that's what I picture. Blood rot pox is definitely like, making you scratch yourself and stuff like that. Like I guess they're not good drugs. I guess no drugs are good. I will stand by that. And I will be doing a seminar on them next episode. Yeah, so that would be the drugs and what they do. So frailties, like, kind of makes you feel smaller. And then, like, the inertia one, that's, like, obviously just really zonks you out. Blood rot pox makes you a little itchy. But, like, all right, so, like, why would anybody take them, right? Because they're addictive. What other flesh and blood drugs would there be? Courage. It's crazy we didn't get like a courage token in the pirate set where like they're drinking like rum. I know we got a Gold Kiss rum, but that would be kind of neat. Quicken, that's speed if I've ever heard it. So, just the tokens are drugs. That's just kind of how it goes. And which kind of like cutting retort is like kind of greedy, taking all the tokens, drugs, and eating them. But one last question. Anything cool coming to the Patreon? I've been a little rough on the Patreon lately because honestly, it's been really busy. House stuff, work stuff, but I haven't forgot about it. It's just a matter of time. But I do appreciate everybody that does still support me on there. And that has been another mailbag episode. I appreciate you all for the wonderful mail and listening. I know that these solo episodes are not always the biggest because I don't have famous people on here like James White or James White or even James White sometimes. But I do appreciate everybody that still listens and watches because I like chatting with you and it's a good time. Now, You can all find me on socials at freshbudspod. Mostly just Blue Sky these days. It's the better place to be, in my opinion. The Buds Discord is a great place to submit questions, mail, stuff like that. And Patreon, we mentioned that. YouTube, give us the old like, comment, subscribe. And finally, Fresh Juice is an indie podcast that I do with my cousin Matt. And we have a good time. We just reviewed a really fun game called Skull Horde this week, and I really liked it. So check out that. And finally, let's talk about some food before I go. What is some food that I am craving right now? Craving. I've probably mentioned this usually, but I want a Trenton-style tomato pie so bad from DiLorenzo's, Robbinsville, New Jersey, formerly in Trenton, but with extra sausage, and maybe if I'm feeling crazy, maybe ricotta on there. That would be just divine, and I would eat the whole thing, and I wouldn't even care. So clip that, send it to your family. And also, we don't have time for Charmer, but I'm sure we'll get to him at some point. Stay fresh.